So the first question for July comes from Alexander, and they ask, is starting with Pimsleur good for pronunciation? What are your opinions on Pimsleur for trying to have good pronunciation from the start?
It's not worth the time. Pimsleur was actually the very first thing that I did when I started studying Spanish. I spent about 30 hours on it. And no, it was not a good use of time. There's sort of two main issues with it. One of which is that the audio that they use is not what people actually talk like. The words that they use are not what people use in regular conversation, and the way they say those things is not the way that a native would actually say those things. And then also you don't get any feedback. Like, you can only hear yourself, and one of the major issues that new learners face is they don't actually have the ability to hear the sounds of a foreign language. So if you can't hear them, you can't imitate them, and you can't tell whether you're doing it right or wrong. So I personally don't like Pimsleur. Granted, I used it back in 2015, so like maybe it's better now. I don't know, but my general perspective on Pimsleur is that their entire model of language learning is flawed, and it's not a great use of time.
Yeah, I used it for a little bit. Also, like, probably around that time. I don't even remember for what language. I was like, this is not what I want. This is not working. Yeah. This is not helpful.
Yep.
If you want to have good pronunciation, there's a lot of other factors beyond. There's a lot of other factors going on. Some of them are like natural talent, your ability to hear sounds, but then also it's how much you care about it and the amount of time that you're willing to put in. If you put in time to learning and understanding about like how sounds work and how accents actually work, you're going to have a lot more success in sounding good from the start. But then also, we'd really recommend learning the sounds of the language from a perceptive stance. We'll talk about this in another question pretty soon, but when you can hear the sounds of a language, you can much more accurately learn them and self-correct. Because like Ethan said, if you can't hear the difference between two different sounds, it's really, really hard to learn to produce them really well. A pretty famous example is Japanese speakers learning English, or really any other European language, because we have a distinction between R and L that is non-existent in Japanese, and it makes it really, really hard for them to produce the right one. Many of them can physically produce the right sound. They can physically create R and L easily. But when they hear a word, it's a complete guess if it's a R or an R or an L word. They just have no idea. And so if you can train that ability, then you can start to self-correct. And you might be wrong at the beginning, but you'll very, very quickly fix it. And so that's what I definitely recommend you do if you want to have good pronunciation, is really make sure that your ear is good first, and then you will self-correct as long as you have you're working on the other things and continuously trying to improve.
The other thing that I would say is if you really, really care about it, it is worthwhile learning what sounds exist in a language. So learning IPA, really digging into understand like what sounds do exist, because even if you can't hear them right now, knowing that they exist will help you hear them in the future because you'll know to look out for them.
Good point.
You can practice those in particular. So, for me, like I generally have a pretty good ear, so it hasn't really been a problem to reproduce sounds once I could hear them. But I know Ben really enjoys IPA and enjoys really digging into sound study of it, and I'm sure that his accent is substantially better than mine. So,
an example is that when I started learning Czech, I think I took like an hour maybe to read through the Czech Wikipedia article on phonology and sounds, just to hear just to get a rundown of what sounds sort of existed. And I haven't gone back, and I'm able to hear all the sounds of Czech just fine. Yes, I have predisposition. It is something that I've studied before, like in other languages. But like that is an example of being able to reap all the benefits much more quickly with a little bit of study.